And you just happen to be really good at using the SMS component, which I think is awesome too.
Yeah, it's a good one. I don't think people really understand the full power of that whole section and how it can be, a lot of our emails sometimes will go to spam or just get lost in the massive amount of emails that we get. So I like using the SMS component just to send messages to say, hey, did you get my email?
Well,
I'm like,
exactly. And I think that's the key. You can edit those. And I think a lot of people have, we've been talking about, like, sometimes they only get the text message because of the carrier, the second text message. So I think that text message should be the second one that goes out, should all be about confirming what was just sent from your email. That would be the brilliant thing. We'll talk more about that because it confirms what's already been sent.
Or even just a reminder that, hey, this is Julie again. I don't know if you received my first text message. However, I just want to reach out in regards to your request for a property valuation. Very simple. It happens too. Like I've seen it even just a regular text message sent to somebody, they're like, oh, who's this? And I know that it was delivered. It's not an automated one. So, never assume that anybody knows exactly who they're talking to, because in the whole busyness of life, like we're all in that same boat, right? How many messages do we get? How many emails do we get? We're bombarded with notifications from Facebook. We're bombarded with, if you're on Instagram, I mean, look at all the things that you're like, that are vying for your attention. And people get lost in that. So it's always remember, like, where are they at? Where, when they saw this ad and they clicked on it, were the kids running around? Were who knows, right? So in that whole grand scheme of busyness, it's just making sure and reminders, be like, oh yeah, there was this ad you clicked on, you requested a property evaluation, and I'm just following up. I just want to make sure that, I give you the best value. So,
and I get a response.
Can you get a response? Yeah, you're driving right now, so that's all we heard you say.
Sounds like a lyric to a song. Can I get a response?
Can I get a response? That's our goal. As well as maximizing your ad budget, so you're not wasting it.
I'm in Powerline heaven.
Okay, I'm just gonna share this to our group.
Hey, Ira, you're being quiet.
I was just trying to catch up on what you were all talking about as I hopped on here.
Well, we're done. It's,
That's it.
it was a
time zone.
5-minute mastermind. We're just getting super efficient.
Powerful. We're done. Mic drop.
I was going to bring up a topic today that's going to be awesome.
Okay, we're good to go. So it's live on Facebook for those people that can't figure out Zoom. It's live in the StreetText Insider group. And yeah, share your chat features here. I want to start with some wins. And I tried to get Vance on this last week, but he was so busy just closing deals, right, Vance? So busy. Always be closing, ABC. Talk to us about your experience, because you've been with StreetText so far, what, a month?
Yeah, I've been about a month and a half. And I would say that, I've tried to use a lot of the features that have been included with StreetText, but I found Julie to be very useful. I mean, it's one thing that people tend to respond to her, which tells me that we have a good number that I can use. And then it's not uncommon that I'll go in and start talking as Julie through the SMS feature just to say, hey, it sounds like you've been busy. Maybe it'd be helpful if Vance actually, kind of came out and looked at the place. And sometimes that's worked, and other times it's somebody else has beat me there. But, at the end of the day, I think leveraging, the digital assistant's a big deal in terms of being able to get permission to really talk to folks about their property. Because I think that's what it comes down to, is that I'm learning through this process that People are a little skittish, a little, they don't want to be scared off, and they don't want an overly aggressive opportunity to really come through and feel like somebody's pressuring them. And everyone has a different pressure point. So I think it's getting that permission to talk with them. And so I've gotten one listing that's actually going live at the end of the month, beginning of March, because I ended up using that approach. I've leveraged 2 or 3 appointments, since then as well. And it's just finding ways to keep the conversation going. So once they say, yeah, we've done X and Y and Z, and then it's like, wow, you've done a lot of work here. Anything else that maybe you're forgetting, and keeping them talking, and like, well, Vance would be very interested in seeing this. He wants to make sure he provides an excellent level of service and really get you a custom home valuation so that you know exactly what your opportunities and choices are, which is what we want to be able to do for you. And then usually it leads to an appointment.
Let's just stop there real quick and kind of go in a little bit deeper, because there's a key component on here I think that a lot of people don't play into. It's the role play as Julie, as you're speaking to this particular lead.
Mm-hmm.
So, walk me through like something. If you get a lead that just starts telling you a little bit about their home and the updates they've done, what's the next thing that you in that first message?
Usually in the first message is I thank them for responding. Well, thank you for responding. It sounds like you've been really busy. What is there anything else about the home you want to share? How long have you had the home? What's your favorite thing about the home? Where are you going next? Those kind of things that kind of get them talking. Again, the whole idea is how do we build trust? And how do we continue to kind of, I call it pulling at the thread. How do we continue to pull at this thread to kind of build this with? And sometimes I feel like I do too good a job because I trust Julie a little bit more than me, so to speak. And then it's like, well, and then I get permission. And I think that's a big thing too. Is can I have your permission for Vance to call you? Because I think that's something too that sometimes gets a little pervasive with folks. And I think, it's when you get that permission, you can start building that relationship. And so just off the top of my head, I want to say I've had 5, 6, maybe 7 appointments I've set that way. And then like after the appointment, I've had people thank Julie. Thank you. It was great meeting with Vance. And then I respond as well saying, oh, you're welcome. We're glad to work with you and let us know what we can do to help. And Vance will be in touch. And then we keep them in the automation because we want to keep that top of mind going, as we get further down the line. I would tell you that probably the one thing I have to remember through all of this is that with people being able to choose whether they're curious or they're ready to sell now, whatever that looks like, it's that this is a long haul opportunity. It's not something that is an overnight sensation that people can just, we're ready to list right now. I've got one of those that I actually went on a tour with and looked at the home. And I would tell you that the person wasn't as ready as they thought they were. And I was very honest with them and said, hey, I think if you really want to maximize your value, this is what you need to do. And then now that person and I stay in touch. It's like once a week we're having a conversation, and now it's like we're old friends. So I think it's all about leveraging Julie to build trust, let her open the door for you to get there. And when she does, I refer to her. I say, my assistant let me know about this. Can we talk about this? And then they start telling me about it. And so I think it's a matter of looking at the full suite of what StreetText can offer with the automations and using Julie. And in fact, a good friend of mine in the business is starting his trial today because of some of the things that I shared with him, and actually sat down with him yesterday and went through and said, here's Julie, here's what she does, and here's how you leverage her.
Hey, make sure to give them your affiliate link so you get 10% off.
Oh, I did.
And Vance, I think honestly, you made a couple really great points there. The one that, and we're seeing in the comment section here as well, that I like the most is asking the permission, right? Because we're in a day and time where people don't ask for permission anymore, right? Mm-hmm. And my favorite response that's worked really well for a lot of my clients through the Julie automation is more assumptive. And it's the, thanks for your reply. I'm going to pass your information over to Vance right now. I expect him to call you in an hour. That's worked really well. But just thinking about exactly what you said there, it makes so much more sense to ask for that permission, because if you tell them I'm going to call, this number is going to come up, they're expecting it, great. But it doesn't mean they're going to want to answer it. But as soon as you say, do I have your permission to pass your information over to Vance, right? All of a sudden now they have that decision to make. Yes, Yes, you have my permission, but now that's not only yes, you have my permission, it's yes, I'm going to answer the call when it comes through.
Yes.
Right? That is phenomenal. That's a really, really, really good end.
Yeah, and in fact, to your point, I end up going through and saying, what's the best time for you? So not only do they give me permission, I want to meet them at when they said I'm allowed to talk with them. You know, and once they give me that permission, I'm in there talking with them. I call them at like if they'll say at 1:30, oh yeah, that's great. And then I've had people say, hey, yeah, I've got this property. It's in the mountains. I can't get anybody to help me sell it. Well, hold on, let me go find it for you. Then I'm a Keller Williams agent. So I'll go into my Keller network in command and I'll just drop a referral, get feedback, and then I'll start farming it out. And I've been able to get a referral that way.
Well, I mean, you have to be more assumptive at times, and we're technically in control of the initialization of everything, but they're in control of their home. They're in control of the deal, right? So we need to make sure that we're the professional in the situation, of course, but they're the ones who are, you know, their foot's on the gas pedal or the brakes. They're the ones who get to make that final decision every single time. So not asking for their permission, I think, is exactly one of the things that can rub people the wrong way. You're not going to tell me when I'm going to sell my home. You're not going to tell me when this appointment's going to happen, right? You're going to give me some options and facilitate, but I'm in charge. It's my home. Right. So I love that approach.
So Vance, for people that kind of came in late here, tell us, number one, how long you've been here? So you said
only about a month and a half.
A month and a half. And how many conversations? Like we'll talk one thing. It's always nice when you get appointments scheduled. But how many interactions, how many dialogue conversations have you think you've initiated in this process?
I would probably say 2 to 3 dozen, very easily.
And that's the thing. Especially in the beginning, as we're nurturing these people, all you're looking for is how can I initiate and create dialogue and relationship? Because naturally, if you're doing the right things, those will evolve into the appointment. Yes. So, and then how many appointments have you set?
It's been about six appointments.
Great.
And I always tell folks that, look, I don't look at if I don't walk out of here with a contract, I don't look at it as a no. I look at it as a not yet.
Love it.
Right. And I want us to be in a position where you're comfortable with the decision you're making. I'm comfortable with the decision to work with you, that I'm going to deliver exactly what we agree upon. Because at the end of the day, I don't want just your sale today. I want your sale. I want your friend's sale. And I want to be able in a year from now to come back to you and say, hey, have you enjoyed the process? Are you enjoying A, your new home, or B, the experience? Is there anyone that I should be talking to that that needs my help?
I think since day one, Vance, I mean, you came in here with a prevailing mindset that this was going to work. And I think that's the thing that sometimes we don't focus on. We focus on all the how-tos. We focus on all the text messages. We focus on what the mailer looks like, what the email looks like. But if you don't have a prevailing mindset that I'm going to build trust with these people, I'm going to build relationship with these people, this is going to be referrals. If you don't have that prevailing mindset, then you're not apt to want to do the behaviors daily. And the way that you're communicating with people, you're communicating that without even knowing it. Because in your back of your mind, you're skeptical. And Vance, I mean, you're saying from the get-go, your mindset is that I'm going to build trust with these people. So like, what was your mindset coming into this that you feel has helped you in the last month and a half? Like, what could you share about mindset? Because I think that's a big holding factor for a lot of people.
Well, I look at two things. One of my mindsets is that it's a marketing tool, right? So how do we market this the right way? And I think and I know there's a push and a pull to marketing. And so I look at this as the pull. These things come in through social media, through Facebook, and it gives me an opportunity to kind of reach out to folks. And so I think, once I went through my 2-week trial and I saw the results, I thought, okay, this is where the rubber meets the road. I will get things generated through this. And once I saw the value there, I thought, okay, this is where I'm going to invest, and this is going to be my pull factor. My push is going to be my calls. I'll call the FSBOs, I'll call the expireds. That's not a big deal to me. But it gave me another way to diversify my business. And I really saw it as an opportunity to say, okay, I can make this work. It's not as intrusive. I'm getting partial permission along the way to talk to these folks. And once I get that partial permission, I'll try and ratchet up the intensity of that in a positive way. can I figure out a way to make this work? And then I took a weekend after meeting with Marcus with a coaching session. I took a weekend and I actually turned off my ads. I said, let me turn my ads off so that I can be in a position to really leverage this as fully as I can. And I went through every one of the emails. I designed my own signature block that I saw on others that I really liked. And then I said, let me figure out a way to customize this so it's not necessarily, we all know it's going to be auto-generated, but I want it to be from me, not necessarily from a system only. And so once I did that, I went through and of course I've got BombBomb. I recorded some videos and embedded them within there. I put some emoticons in there. I wanted to make sure they understood that mine stood out and it got an opportunity to talk with them. And I would say, to your point about mindset, it's not being a set it and forget it position. It's much more of saying, okay, I've done this. How do I tweak it? What do I make it do to look better? And then I took every one of these and I sent it to myself. So I wanted to see what it was like to receive it. So I'm trying to put myself in the receiver's position so that would I value what I'm seeing? If I won't value it, I don't think they will. And so I want to make sure from a mindset standpoint that I kind of come from this position of if it has to be, it's up to me. So how do I change my attitude towards this and know it's going to be something of value that's going to drive them back to wanting to work with me? And that I'm top of mind when it is the right time for them, because all of these folks at some point have said, yeah, I want to work with you at some point at specific levels. And going back to building trust, I think it's like, how do I continue to penetrate the depth of that trust so that when it's time for them to make a decision, they're like, I'm calling Vance.
That's awesome. And I mean, like, I just I keep hearing you say that your goal is trust.
Mm-hmm.
Your goal,
the goal has to be trust.
Yeah, your goal
has to be trust before transaction.
Yeah, perfect.
Right. And so the transaction's the outcome of that trust. And so I'm working with the one I'm going to list at the end of this month. I could tell when we first met, she was very thankful that I would just give her time. And once I realized that, I said, well, look, and to your point, I said, this is, you're in the driver's seat. I think that this is what your home could sell for according to what the CMA says. However, the condition of your home is different. So let's talk about that. And then when she saw it, she was actually surprised and happy. And I said, well, let's get it. We'll figure out a way to make this work for you. That's what I'm here for. And she actually thanked me. She said, thank your assistant for me too. Oh, sure, I sure will. But I mean, I think it's up to us to make Julie come alive. If not, then that's on us.
Yeah. Trust. And then the trust, and then you're meeting it with service. Like, you're going in there and you gain trust by serving other people. So the fact that you're so service oriented in everything that you're doing, how are they receiving it is a huge question that you're asking, which is amazing.
Absolutely. I'll tell you about one I lost. And the only reason I lost it was because the person's, the seller's life situation changed. They wanted to sell their home because they wanted to buy an RV and go on the road, which was fine. Once they reveal the motivation, to me, I start using that in the conversation and saying, well, how soon do you want to go on the RV? Because that's going to impact the ability for us to do this. If you say you want to do this in the next 30 days, that's going to impact our price. If you want to do this, if you're okay with waiting because you've waited this long, then we can look at different things here. I think at the end of the day, it's how do I serve you? And how do I don't want to, again, I'm going to go back to, I don't want to win your home. I want to win your real estate genre in your mind, and how do I do that?
For me, it's always, what's the catch, right? And people ask us that all the time, right? When they're signing up for trial, it's the same thing. What's the catch? And if you don't know what the catch is much worse than what it actually is. For us, the catch is you're going to come into trial. We hope that you love the system and then you choose to use it. That's the catch. For you guys, I mean, the catch is you're trying to get face-to-face, not so you can sell their home, exactly like you're saying. It's so you can establish relationship, you can build that trust, you can get belly to belly. The catch is I'm willing to give my time and my expertise, my professionalism for free, with the catch being you're going to want to use me as your agent moving forward, and you're going to like me so much that even if you're not ready to sell, you're going to introduce me to your friends and your family because I'm going to do right by them.
Absolutely.
Right? So understanding and explaining what that catch is in the right way, I think is exactly what you're trying to do. And understanding, once again, that coming from social media, these aren't referrals. These aren't people who have established any form of relationship with you yet whatsoever. But they put their hand up, their interest, whether they're ready to sell tomorrow or a year from now, it doesn't matter. They have questions, and if they had a realtor in their life that they trusted already, the likelihood of them clicking on that link and entering their information, much lower. They're going to pick up their phone, they're going to call their brother, their friend, whoever it was, to ask those questions of. They're not. They've asked you. Now you have to kind of answer some of those light questions, establish that relationship, build some rapport. When they come time to be ready to sell, you get that listing, right?
Yeah. And I think that's the greatest compliment you can get is, I trust you, you know, and it's like, well, I believe what you're telling me. And I believe, and I think you have to treat that like it's precious capital, you know. And I think a lot of times, and I've been with folks who have said, I had a terrible experience with a real estate agent, and they'll go into this massive horror story, and I'll say, well, on behalf of our industry, I'm really sorry. You know, they're unfortunately, just like every other business, you have good ones, you have bad ones, you have some that'll take advantage. And all I can tell you is although I'll apologize for that experience, I can tell you, you're not going to have that experience with me. In fact, you might say that, Vance, I'd like us to communicate at a regular basis. Here's the intervals I'd like to do it. Okay, let's schedule it and make sure you get what you'd like.
So Vance, I've noticed a couple key components in your automations, obviously video, and a call to action. So walk me through that, and how does that work for you between the video side of this? Obviously, we're talking about the SMS component, and then your call to action, I believe, is Calendly, right?
It is. It is. And that's the one thing I wanted to make sure every email or every interaction I have, it does some kind of call to action that makes them think, what would I like to do here? You know, and I think that that's a measure of their motivation, you know, because sometimes people are in love with the idea of how much my home's worth, that I make a great decision. This is going to tell me whether I've got a great value in my home or not. You know, and I think by providing that service on the front side, and I even provide an RPR report and provide it to them so they can have it and get an idea of what it looks like. And they look really sharp, really good, picturesque, very appealing. And I think at the end of the day, I want them to be able to associate, unfortunately, this face with real estate, you know. And the other side too is that when they want to do something, that there's something there that makes them ask the question, do I want to do this? And I put it in my videos too. I'll say, you know, if you'd like to meet soon, you can set the time at the link below, or you can call me directly, and here's my number.
Love it. So cool. We had a great question in the beginning that said, you know, some of the times they're only getting the second text message, and that has a lot to do with the carrier. So I think it's a perfect segue into that real quickly. The second text message goes, just let me know if I can help, right? And that's 11 minutes later. So if that's what you're seeing, we have a good solution for you. Troy, you want to kind of talk about that?
Well, first off, I mean, the big thing is knowing that you guys can actually go in and you can edit any of these text messages, just like you can edit any of the emails. So when you're seeing that first email is not getting delivered, it's probably because the carrier is determining that it's an automated message and they're not going to deliver it. You can see that the second one is just let me know how I can help, which seems, you know, very friendly, that sort of thing. So that's typically why that second one goes through and not the first one.
And you'll get someone that says, who is this?
Exactly, right? And I agree. Some people are like, oh, that's like super creepy. So you can do a number of things. First off, edit that second one and have it say something like, just remind them like, hey, this is Julie again on behalf of Troy. Don't know if you received my first message, but I'm just reaching out in regards to your request for a home valuation. You know, and then they, you know, just try to get that response. You're reminding them of who this is, so it doesn't just seem like this like random text message coming out of it. And then also feel free to go into that very first one and change it up. I was thinking about this a little bit, and one of the things I actually personally don't like about this one, and I'm gonna suggest some edits for this for people who first come in, but even the IE updates. I was like, I mean, who writes that in a text message? Right? That one, like even trying to write that in a text message is kind of like weird. Like if you're working with your thumbs. So kind of take a look at that and, you know, change it up a little bit. You can make it yours.
Yeah.
And I highly encourage everybody, you know, go in there, experiment with it, try other things out. and see if that works, and then report on it in the insider group. Be like, hey, I just kind of changed up that first message, and I'm finding I'm getting really good responses from it. You know, that this is where I think a lot of people are afraid to come in here and change things because they're afraid that they're going to screw it up.
Right.
You're not going to screw it up. If you screw it up, you can fix it. This is about experimenting and seeing what works, right? We do this here all the time. We try different things out and we see what works. If it doesn't work, then you try something else out. Everything is just moving in the right direction. If you don't do anything, then it's not moving in the right direction, right? If you just go, oh, well, nobody's getting that first text message, this doesn't work, no, it's just coming in here, give it a little bit of love, try some different things out. Even changing the timing of things can be a big thing as well, right? You can even add more messages in this.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you would want to do, I think, on that second message for anybody that's not getting that first one out is point back to the email that was just sent out, because you can confirm what was just sent. So what you're doing is you're using Julie to edify yourself and point back to the email that was in their inbox and say, hey, make sure that you check your filters in case it landed in there, type of thing, right? For those of you that are embedding video and worried that it's not getting received or not being played, there's a quick video in there. Vance wanted to introduce himself and let you know how he's going to get the home value get your way, right? So that's the second text message that I would probably go in there and edit for myself, because they'll just let me know if I can help, and it's out of context because they're not getting the first. Well, use the second one to point back to what you know and can confirm is sitting in their inbox currently, and then it pulls it all together perfectly for you.
A good second text that I really like that's been working really well is to say something like, hey, this is Julie again, just checking to make sure you received my last message, right? Or just checking to see if to make sure you're receiving my messages, period, right? Because even if they didn't get that first one, they get that second one, they go, oh, Julie, no, sorry, I didn't get your message. Who are you again? But now it's not a who's this, they know it's Julie, but you don't necessarily say this is Julie with so-and-so, right? Because if they did get that first message, then they know. And if they didn't, they're just going to write right back and say, no, sorry, who is this again, right? Then you can keep that conversation going and reintroduce yourself. And you know that if they got that first message and responded to it, they're not going to get another text anyways, right? So that second message I find works really well.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to go with that. That's really, truly, and that's the power. You want to, just like Vance has done there, you want to go in there and think about what you would say. You want to go through that just like Vance did, took the time, took 48 hours over the weekend, turned off all his ads, and go through there and experience it as you would be the homeowner and ask yourself, would I respond to it? You might even send that link out to a couple of your friends and colleagues and say, hey, do me a favor, go through this funnel. You're going to get an email and text message. Would you opt into this? Would you feel it was authentic and genuine and that I'm actually speaking to you? Or would you feel like it was robotic? Would you feel like it's generic? Would you, and then if you get some good constructive feedback from your friends, who's going to, obviously, hopefully they'll be honest with you. Now you start working out of that lens.
Yeah.
Right. Because some of you don't even have anything in there, in that, and you're letting the email drip just be, and you're asking yourself why you're not getting anything set up. There's a reason, because there's no personal connection with that person on the other end.
Marcus, can I just comment on that?
Yeah.
I did exactly what you're talking about, and I sent it to friends throughout the country. So I wanted to see how it would be received in different places to understand, am I doing it the right way? And so even here in Eastern North Carolina, we've got some folks who I would consider a little bit more country and some who are transplants, especially here where I'm at, because we have one of the largest military bases here. So I wanted to see what it would be like for someone from the Midwest, someone from Ohio, someone from Texas, someone from California. So I wanted to understand my audience, and I wanted to understand, what does it mean here if I say it this way, or what does it mean there if I say it this way? And then incorporating the video along with it. And I got a lot of great feedback that way. And it was like, it feels like you're talking at me. It doesn't feel like you're talking with me. Okay, let me fix this.
Love it.
Good stuff. The other thing to be aware of too on the text side, with emails tend to be a little bit more formal. Texts are a little bit more casual, right? And I know that we're all coming from like a professional thing and we want everything to be polished, but a text message is always just a little bit more casual. The language is a little bit more casual, just even what you do with it, emojis, you know, all of those things. And that kind of keeps it up, you know, sometimes not even having like perfect punctuation. Like how many of us send a text message and you actually put a period at the end of the sentence and send it off? I mean, it's like I have to go hunt for the period and then send it off. Right. So, I mean, not that you want to go like maybe that far, but just kind of like think about the language that would be in a text message, make it feel like it's kind of natural. And then it's not going to feel like that robotic, you know, thing. And then always think, well, again, how can I serve? Right. I mean, that's kind of the way the reason the second one is set up is how can I help? You know, we're trying to make sure that we're serving them. But out of context, of course, it is a little strange.
Yeah, it's one of those things where people start with StreetText and they're all about performance and lead generation, and then they're going and having to backpedal a little bit as they move into process. So one of the smartest things you can do, obviously, when you initiate a trial is test StreetText for what we do, right? Come into these trainings, come to the masterminds, acknowledge what everybody's doing. You know, that's why you're here. You're seeing how Vance has kind of made this work for you. For himself, 6 appointments in a month and a half. That's amazing, right? And learn from this, see what he's done and make it your own. Because that's the whole point of coming here is you have to pull this back into your own process. And there's no one thing, like I know Mary said, let's just update everything to reflect that. But we don't want to do that because everybody's going to have a unique process and a unique way they're going to say things. And how you respond to people in San Diego is going to be different how do you respond to people in Alabama, you know, and so forth. So in the Midwest and Texas. And so you got to kind of bring in your voice and you know your community better than anybody and ultimately change it to reflect how, you know, send it off to your colleagues and friends and ask them, hey, what would feel more natural in this process? What would you, because all we're looking for is engagement. All we're looking for is conversation. So ultimately we need to make sure that whatever sends automatically via email at the very minimum is getting engagement. If it's not getting engagement, something has to change. Because you can track opens in there. You know who's actually opening it. But if you're not getting any responses to that email, there's a reason why. And it's not speaking to that person enough for them to actually dialogue and write an answer or give you some information. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah, and I think you said it best there, Vince, when you said, you know, speaking at somebody instead of with them or to them. Right? So make sure that your responses are coming off that way. And you know, Mary said the same thing here, you know, standard can be established across the board. Absolutely. And that's kind of what we've tried to do. We've tried to set kind of a tone wherever we can that's going to work everywhere, but it's not going to work perfectly everywhere. And in fact, it's not going to work perfectly until it's your own voice.
Yeah.
Right. So, and we always talk about the text messages and the emails as being, you know, look at them more as the delivery mechanism that they are. You don't have to worry about the schedule now. We figured out a schedule in terms of delivering the right message at the right time. Now, what that message is up to you. Realistically, if you left it completely unchecked, at least there's something, you know, of somewhat of value going to these leads, you know, in place of anything else. But put your own messages, right? Make your personality, make it warm, make it you. And make sure that there's something of value being delivered to these people. But once again, just treat these more like the scheduled delivery that they are. Empty envelopes waiting to be stuffed with your information.
Take 24 to 48 hours, turn your ads off, share that funnel link with 6 of your most trusted friends and ask them to do you a favor, go through the process, submit their address, submit their email, submit their phone number, and ask them for honest feedback. That would be a recommendation.
Can I just ask something? So I love these masterminds and the conversations that we're having about what we all can do to personalize it. But sometimes I feel like a lot of us are running into sort of similar challenges with regards to the automation process in terms of the text and the email follow-ups. And I get that we absolutely need to personalize it to ourselves and how we conduct business in the market that we're in. I guess some of my comments and feedback has been that maybe we can just make some adjustments to what is currently in the automation system with regards to the emails, you know, because we're using this as a baseline for our our personalization. So if there's a way to level up some of the conversations, or if you want to add in some emojis in the text line that's working, that's because you have access to the open rates, right? So you can see, or people can see like what's effective. And if there's a way to just kind of apply that across the board for all of us, that just kind of helps us kind of level up our level of response in terms of text and email. And so I guess that's just kind of my comment and kind of frustration.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I could take that feedback directly to the guys and put that into an effect. If you know, we could pull Vance's 9-month-long drip campaign and apply it to everybody, right? At least on the.
If you just go through your top performers, right, in terms of what are they saying in text, what are they saying in email, what are their task lists, that'll be super helpful for all of us instead of having to reinvent the wheel and sit here and be like, all right, what did that person say works? And if there's just some sort of like template and system to just start with, and then we can modify and adjust, that would be way more helpful, because I've noticed with these masterminds, there's a lot of great things being shared, but if we could have that kind of be applied to the baseline of the text and email automation, then we can just level up on our end, because it's a lot of work getting started.
To that end, Mary, I mean, obviously it's a great idea, and we've tried to do that wherever it's possible, such as the first email. We made sure we found somebody had pulled in the contact address link, so that the address is now showing up in the subject line of that first email that goes, and that works. We pulled that in as a default for everybody. The issue is, though, we do have a lot of people who've gone through and made significant customizations, and they like what's working for them. So we can't kind of come in and just make a blanket change to everybody's account. Like if I was to come in and just do a master default and change everybody's to what we think is working best, there's going to be people who say, well, I already had all my customizations. I had everything done the way I like it. So we can't do a master change, if that makes any sense. So what we try to do is, you know, through these masterminds, highlight all these best practices so you guys can get and do it. But I think maybe the bridge that may kind of fill the gap, so to speak, that may help is what we could start to do is put together maybe lists or templates that are available for everybody to look at a glance, and then just copy paste, perhaps.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. So instead of overriding everyone's work, maybe we can have a library that we can pick and choose from. You'd be like, all right, so I see that this email campaign for, you know, seller valuation is super effective. I'm going to go with that one because it's way better than the one I have in place, or the one that's currently showing up in automation. Or if anyone's got something personalized, we're not overriding all their hard work. Yep. I think that's a fantastic idea. And I think would be more helpful than what's currently in place. Yeah,
no, absolutely. I think that's key, and it's something that internally we've already had discussions at length about how do we do this, because once again, somebody always comes up with this great idea, and it's like, okay, how do we help everybody else replicate this without a master override, which we obviously can't do. So kind of what we're doing is we're figuring out who's winning, who's doing the best with what, and we're going, and once again, we all know that everybody has their own style, their own mentality, the way they like to deliver messages, and what you want to deliver may be different than me or Marcus or whomever, right? But there's oftentimes similarities. So what we're trying to do is put things in kind of columns, if you will. So what style of follow-up suits you best? And we can kind of have a delivery mechanism appropriate to each and every one of those individualized styles. Once again, you know, a templated, the ability, I guess, to just go through and pick and choose, and then just build from those templates into our delivery mechanism. So something we're definitely going to be working on. And obviously really good feedback, Mary. So thank you for that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that'd be super awesome if you guys could put that into effect.
And I really think it comes down to the first 2 or 3 touches, like especially the first one, because that's the first impression you're giving that person. So that's the one that you all need to work on. It is the very first message that they go to their inbox to see, right? So it's a combination of you, a great subject line that's being opened, some good content within that email, and a call to action. And then the day 3 is contingent what you actually said in day 1. So there would be no default unless you actually knew what you're going to say in day 1. Day 1, or the first email might be for somebody, a complimentary walkthrough of their home. Here's a link to my Calendly. For someone else, it might be like Donna, who's going to give a CMA to everybody and have an email go out 20 minutes later if you've gone to Donna's course. So I think it's hard to do a blanket one because initially it begins with what your autoresponder is going to be in the beginning to set that tone and process for how you're going to work with them and get them that home value. And then you kind of building off of that day 3, the day 10 and so forth down the line. And whether or not those work or not, I rarely ever see someone's like, oh, they responded to my day 31 email and we got an appointment. It was usually because of the personal message that you were sending them. It wasn't an autoresponder that got you that appointment.
So to that point, I feel like there's sort of two, in my head at least, there's two kind of things going on. So you have that initial email going out to everybody, right? Thanks
Right.
for your information. I'm getting started on it, introducing yourself. So then the follow-up is really sending them, for example, the home valuation, right? So that's my step. That's my second step upon receiving their request. So then I feel like if I don't get a response from them, I would like them to be on some sort of automation, and it'd be super helpful to know like what's an appropriate drip campaign, right? For the next 9 months for somebody who's not responding and they're on automatic system, I don't have to worry about it. For the people who do respond, you know, I for sure will take ownership on that, follow up with them, talk to them, figure out what they're looking to do, and all that's fine. And I can absolutely customize that, not a problem. I guess I'm really looking for that super automation process where I don't know what to say to them, or like, are you even opening my emails? Like, I can see that you're opening it or you're not opening it, but I'd like to continue some sort of good, effective campaign. That's
Mary,
not like, I don't know.
Mary, do you use HomeBot?
Yes.
That's a good one to do because then they're getting something from you every month.
Yeah, so I can be like, hey, I'm not sure if you're receiving the HomeBot, you know, it's month 2, but I'm not gonna do that every month, right? Like I gotta come up with something a little bit different. Or I can see that they're opening it or, you know, or they're not, and I can customize it. But for people that aren't responding, you know, like what else can we do besides just HomeBot?
Right. I started texting as soon as I sent the video CMA so that if they didn't see it or it went to spam, then at least they could look at it right away, which is
Yeah,
really helping.
half of mine don't even have phone numbers. So that's cool for absolutely people with phone numbers, but for the email only that, you know, and it's, especially here in San Diego, it's so expensive. Our leads are like $12, $13 for an email. So and we don't get phone numbers half the time. So there's definitely limitations there. So I want to make sure like I'm spending this money for the contact information. What can I do to try to engage with that lead that's, you know, submitted their email address, and I'm sending them HomeBot.
But you can see when they
over time.
But you can see when they open the HomeBot, right?
Yes, but I'm not going to tell them I saw you opening HomeBot. That's creepy, right? So like I'll check in with you, be like, hey, I sent you the latest, you know, HomeBot. It looks like it came up 10%. We're at this value. For sure, I can customize it or whatever, but I think we have to be careful about letting them know what they're doing, because then they're gonna, you know.
Right. If you see that they're not opening it, I have another video CMA template through BombBomb that goes from a different address because a lot of my stuff goes to spam. So if I see that they don't open it within a couple of days, I'll send them one of those through there. And then some of those people are opening it there instead.
Hey guys, real fast, this is Sheila. I just started resending, like 2 days later, I would just resend the digest, and I noticed that 3 of them opened it up. So maybe just like me, they get 25 emails in 5 minutes and they don't see it and they don't know who we are, so it's not flagged. But that's something to try as well, just as a quick reminder, more or less. I found that more of them are being opened right now.
And remember that there's anybody who's left an email, they're put into a 9-month drip campaign with all those automated emails and StreetText. So they're being dripped on, and we had Colin on probably about a month ago, and he had somebody actually phone him that he had come in as a lead in September, never replied to anything. Gave him a call and said, hey, I've been getting all these emails from you. I'm ready to list my home. So that, they're going out, they're seeing it.
Sure.
Sometimes when we think that people aren't, seeing these things or getting it, or, you know, we're not sure where they are. You just don't know, right? And so it's just a matter of, you can customize those things that they're personal to you, but also know that some of that stuff is actually going out and is actually happening. So you can
I
rest
have
on
a
that.
request. You know, I know probably 90% of the mastermind is always towards, you know, the sellers. Can we do once in a while towards the buyers? Talk about, you know, the buyers, because, you know, some of us just work more with the buyers than with the sellers, or feel more comfortable work with the buyers. And so we like to get some feedback from people also work with the buyers. Can
Great.
we have at least
We'll
like
set that as
once
a
a
topic for
month?
next week.
Hmm?
We'll set that as a topic for next week.
That sounds fantastic.
And another thing too, with the buyer side, especially right now on the lead ad version, we're seeing like $4 phone numbers across the board on the specific buyer lead ad that we have to offer. So that's a great one to test, but also acknowledge when you go out and run a buyer lead ad, you have to create a custom automation behind that. And that includes
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. We don't have any automation for buyers, right?
No, I think there's one that comes along with it. I'll double check into that, but you're going to want to actually go in there and add an action when you actually go to that ad. So you just go to My Funnels, that particular ad that you launch, and you go edit, and then there's the automations there, and you can add the action, set up an email specific to that particular ad you're running, whether it's the listing or the buyer side, as well as an SMS that would go out. And you, like we've talked about, you could run as many SMS actions as you want. It doesn't have to be 1, 2, 3. You can run as many as you want. Similarly, on the email side, you can create as many automations as you want behind that.
Yeah, because
Hey, Marcus, real
sorry.
fast, there's no landing page just on that, the lead ad, the buyer lead ad one that you guys were talking about yesterday. I don't know if that's on purpose or if it's an accident, but there's no landing page for that. Do you guys recommend something in the meantime?
It's because it's a Facebook lead capture form.
Right. So essentially, which do you recommend as far, it's just for a list of homes though. So I know Stephen had mentioned possibly sending them to
A link of that list.
yeah,
Particularly from you.
Okay, but there's on all of them, it has the notification like get on the list, and it's a landing page to put their information in. It doesn't offer that on there. It goes directly from the picture to targeting the ad. So just a heads up, I can screenshot it. I'll send it over to you so you can see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we'll look into that. Logan, do you know anything on that one in your
I
experience?
mean, if it's a lead ad, there would be no necessity of a landing page. And what would happen is when people click on it, you'd have to have a follow-up URL. So you direct them to your website where your listings are hosted perhaps, or through to an IDX link perhaps, where they can access MLS and things like that.
Got it. Okay. So I have that. We just can't, I guess, and maybe it's just on my site, I can't set up a specific search, because that would be awesome if I could send them to a link, a URL that already has that list that says, hey, homes under $599 or whatever it might be, but it just sends them to the generic property search. I don't know if you guys have had experience with other agents saying that that's been successful for them, or if it's a little too broad.
Do you have a search feature tethered into your website at all?
Yep. Yeah, it's ID. I use Showcase.
What you could try talking to your webmaster, whoever hosts your website, see if they can create like an additional little link that allows for your search to start at a certain price and area, so that when people click on the link to go to your webpage, they're brought to your webpage, and your webpage is automatically triggering a search in a particular area in a certain price point.
Okay.
They might be able to accomplish that for you.
Good deal. Okay, thank you.
Cool. Yeah, there's a lot to do. Anyone have anything they particularly want to share? You know, Leon, George, I know you guys have been a little bit quieter today. There's been a lot of chat about fixing this, and we're going to go obviously and get our best foot forward on fixing this. But in the meantime, like, go after them. Like, and it's not always a pursuit through the automations to change and figure all that out. It's kind of thinking outside the box. Like, for a lot of you, find them on Facebook, you know, and let your automations reflect that too, that you're going to be doing a quick search. You're going to be trying to connect with them back on Facebook. Perhaps some of your automations include your Facebook Messenger link. and letting them know that, hey, I make sure everybody gets a chance to meet me. Let's connect on Facebook. If you see a little friend request from me, you'll know it's, you know, me trying to get a hold of you just to get that home value process started. So there's always this opportunity to connect back on Facebook, but you have to let your automations reflect that, and you got to tell them from the very beginning that's what you're going to do.
And George perked up a little bit when he heard his name there, and I muted himself. So let's hear it, George.
No, I was reading through the comments. Sorry, I've been on a few calls in between, but you know, Tracy put my biggest struggles. You know, StreetText works too well. I have the same exact problem, and I'm going to tell you, so far, you know, it was like 100% problem. Now I've knocked it down to a 60%. Now, you know, Marcus, we're going to connect together to set up a little better the automations, more custom. But HomeBot is the biggest thing I'm telling everybody. If you don't use HomeBot, I think HomeBot is about the same level as the impact of BombBomb. That is going to take a ton of stress. And right now, I'm on my second month of HomeBot. And in the last 72 hours, $2.8 million of custom CMAs requested in the last 72 hours. So HomeBot is going to be your savior as far as if you're getting too many leads. Like I just updated, and I've had in the last 7 days 43 leads total at $1.43 a lead, and emails 16 leads in 7 days for $3.85. This ad I have not touched. Like I'm almost scared to touch this ad because it's been running since August 28th. It's produced 707 leads for me. So,
we want to see your ad.
well, that's the thing. I mean, Marcus, if you want to chime in on my account, just see the ad. It's just a generic one, and you can show everybody my stats. It's the top one. It's the only one running. I've run in my account.
Mine runs really well. And
I've run about 7, 8 ads, and this one has been, I call it the Iron Man. Like I almost wanted to up it to like $18 or $35 a day. And then I'm like, why would I do that? I have too many leads I can't even keep up with. But I kind of want to look for that low-hanging fruit or the lower hanging fruit, because again, a lot of these are top of funnel leads. They take a while. But the good thing is I'm listing about a property every 3rd week now from StreetText, finally after 6 months. I just listed another one for $410,000. So now that brings me up to about, I'm going to say 1.5 million. That is since I started, which again, if that all closes and I don't find a buyer to it, that's going to be $45,000 in GCI off StreetText in 6 months.
That's great. Congrats.
I'm going to tell you the biggest issue I have now, and I was actually telling a few of the StreetText guys yesterday, as soon as the lead comes in, I don't scrub to see the validity of the lead. I see if it's an agent, and I shut down the automations immediately so they can't see the follow-up process. I've had 12 agents in the last 2 weeks.
My gosh.
Well, I have
lots of agents
in my area.
For sure.
So, okay, it's me again. On that topic, I'm very curious to know what market you're in. Like, what area do you work?
Southwest Florida market. It's a very, very competitive market. Our average price point's $350,000. Yeah, that's the Iron Man ad. I don't want to touch that or anything. And it's just been running like a charm the whole entire time. And so our market, I got the MLS open right here. We're in a strong season, hence why I think the last 7 days I've perked up to 43. So right now in the last 7 days in my marketplace, we've had 1,272 people gone pending. And we're in a strong buyer's market. So we've had 1,351 price decreases and new listings, 1,137 listings to only 540 sold. So it's season. Everybody's like, rush, rush, rush. And neighbors are doing that. So.
And what's your months of supply for your market?
I'm sorry?
What's your months of supply? Like.
Oh, we've been bouncing between 7.2 to 9.1. It's gone down from 9.1 to 7.2, but we have 109 new construction communities in our 2 counties. Florida is a big state, 67 counties, but we have 109. So new construction is definitely driving that inventory number up.
That's interesting because here in San Diego, we're operating at less than 2 months of supply. So I think that's probably one of my challenges or our challenges here in this market is that there's no inventory and people aren't selling. And so the home valuation ads are not, so far in my experience, are not producing to the level that yours are, and that probably has something to do with it. So
well, this is a different one, Mary. This ad is the equity. It's the funnel right below the home valuation property. It's the equity one that a lot of people don't use or are not aware about. It's a similar take, just a little bit different play on words.
Okay.
And that's a really good one. That's a really good one to explore with. It's want to know what your home's current value is and how much equity you've gained.
Okay.
And that's what George has done, and this is the ad that he's let run indefinitely. So
okay, I'll try that one then.
With that one, it's just going to the funnels. Because this is a great take, and in a low inventory, the equity might be the play here for you.
Yeah, because it's just interesting how some ads are so effective in certain markets and not in others. And then I'm just trying to figure out like what
This one right here, seller equity ad conversion.
I'm going to tell you what I found by talking to a lot of agents, especially in the California market, with having such a constriction of listings. That their StreetText account, they're like, George, you got 43 leads. I only got 5 in 7 days. I said, yes, but it's all, how can I say, subjective, or it all coincides to what you have in your marketplace, if it's population density and also what your inventory count is. And I actually kind of like that because most likely it's going to be a higher quality lead. Just because I got 43 leads doesn't mean that these are 43 nurtures. I think out of my last count, 1,290 leads from StreetText, I have a strong 44 to about 55 nurtures. Like people that didn't tell me to go F myself, people that said they didn't click on it by mistake, because that happens all the time. And I don't care because I still put them in HomeBot against their will. HomeBot, in now going on 60 days, only 3 unsubscribes. That's it. So everybody's liking it. And I'm going to say probably 40 or 50% of the people are opening and engaging with it.
So I would, for you, Mary, and for anyone in San Diego or in those harder to penetrate markets where there's no inventory, try the equity side for the seller.
Yeah, I'll try that one.
And then go into the buyer lead ad for the buyer side. And what I could recommend on the buyer lead ad and custom ads of that nature is don't just think price point, think price point and amenity as a combo.
Okay. I have a question before the end. It's okay?
Yeah, of course.
All right. So yesterday I was on the class, of course, I taught, Stephen, and I asked him a question and he answered me. And I'm still struggling with the same question I asked you, Mark, about when I only have addresses and I want to add a name to it, why does not allow me to?
So Logan, what she's saying is that on the address section, when an address comes in, she wants to save as a contact and then add a name into that.
Yeah, no, it should let you do that, no problem. Hit save as contact, and then you go into the contacts, you find that, and then just simply add a field. And then that field should allow you to do a drop down and choose name first. Type that in, hit save, and then it should allow you to do name last second.
So could you take a look on my screen? Because if you see, I did kind of save the contact, but that did not go to the contacts. So
yeah, we'll look into that right away because that could be just a bug on your account if it's not.
Yeah, I confirmed that it does work, so we'll have to check specifically on your account, Lillian, because I've checked elsewhere and it does work.
Yeah, I try and try. I've been trying for several days, and it just because I have.
Are you using Google Chrome, Lillian, or are you using a different like Safari or Internet Explorer?
I think it's Chrome.
Chrome, okay. The other thing to do is if you haven't done so in a while, clear your cache. If you're not sure how to do that, one of us can record a quick bomb video on how to clear your Google Chrome cache, no problem, send it over to you. And then also do a quick demo on exactly how to replicate, save a contact, and send it to the contact screen.
That would be a good module to put into the StreetText Academy too. So we'll do a screen recording for that.
One of us will do it for you right away here, and then we'll put it in the insider group or the academy so everybody else can see as well in case there's any issues with that. But sometimes it's easier when you have a recording to follow, so you're not you know,
Yes.
with somebody, we can
Yes.
make sure we get that done for you.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Anybody else? Awesome.
We
Great
want
mastermind.
John.
A little bit more serious. I'd like to hear some wins the next time around. Anybody have a
Me again, I have a question. So
Yeah.
maybe, I don't know, for the next mastermind, would love more conversation about what to do with address only. So I have all these addresses and haven't done anything with it, and would love to know people's best practices on that. And then to the point that someone else mentioned, just how to do a better job of running buyer lead ads, best practices there. And people, because I know some people have some really awesome campaigns in place. I have a listing I'm trying to sell, would love to advertise that, find it a buyer. So I'm curious to see what people are doing there.
Love it. So next week, let's focus on buyers and address onlys. That'll be the two main discussions and the automations that you can create behind both of those.
And you guys are all part of the insider group, right? And one thing that we try to do is every week we come up with, and we're trying to come up with what topic we're going to address, but we only know what topics to address based on what's being requested, right? So what we're going to start trying to do is helping or having you guys help us select the topics, so we're always being pertinent with what we're discussing. So if you have anything whatsoever that you'd like to be addressed on the next or any future mastermind, we can start a bit of a chat or a thread within the insider group, and we can start getting people to say, this is what I'd like to talk about, this is what I'd like to talk about, and then whatever's at the top of that list, we'll kind of start going through that.
I have something. If you want something to be talked about, here's my challenge to you. And I put the challenge in the insider group last night. Leon, you're laughing. Make a video, because you all need to get comfortable with leveraging video as communication. So get comfortable with actually posting in the discussion a video of what you want to see happen and anything that you're getting as far as feedback is concerned. What I create is a post in there, and I'm hoping, I mean, you can take whatever way you want with this, but if you go to that announcement section and you look at the post here, hopefully I got it right there. I challenge you to post a video in the comments below sharing a win testimony or fun experience you've had since joining StreetText. But that also could be a video of anything you want us to talk about, or anything that you need help with, or just a video in general. The more you get comfortable with posting videos, I guarantee you the more feedback you're gonna get from the discussion feature and from the entire community. Because they're more likely to watch that and give feedback than you just simply saying something in the discussion feature that gets lost in translation.
So if I'm looking for a specific video, where do I go? I go to the group search, for instance, you know, how to put a video on the messenger from BombBomb. How?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's better. What I'm suggesting is just actually post a video asking that question. And
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
But when I'm looking for something, I'm still kind of struggling.
Yeah, use the search feature and just type in the subject, and there'll be multiple topics about that specific subject. And then usually a lot of that stuff you'll find in the comments. It's a little bit harder of a filter, but we can work with you on that. I mean, most of the stuff we try to pull back into the academy and a how-to section. And then there's also the help section within your dashboard. If you go to the little help section and type in whatever you're looking for, usually there's been some sort of article or video created there too.
Yeah, yesterday you mentioned something, the color one. Which one you're talking about? You said go to the color.
The color?
Yeah, you said color when you send me a message. Go
Oh,
to
I'll double check that. So there, I would say in your dashboard, there's a little help section, like a little question mark. And then when you actually go to that help section, there's a search feature on top, and you can type in anything there specific to the topic you're looking for.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. All right, guys. Have a great day.
All right, I'll chime one last thing in, I guess. I got cut off earlier when I was driving. One of the things that we don't use all the time. So in StreetText, I try to make sure that I add the notes. When you talk to people and people say, who is this? You're doing anything. But the buyer thing, one of the things I'm glad we're going to do that next week, because we forget that sellers are buyers. If they're not buyers, they're referrals, because they're going to buy somewhere else. So one of the things I've been trying to do, I run it through my Lion Dust now, but I'm going to start running through the StreetText, is I'm going to change up in my automation, asking them what their follow-up plans are, because too often we forget to ask what they're doing. Everybody wants to sell and go on to the next deal, and they don't realize the next deal is sitting right there where you hung your signpost or key box. So just a suggestion, if people are playing with their automation in the back end of StreetText, maybe put in there in one of your lines somewhere to see what their follow-up plans are, because you're still here to service them. And so I get a lot of referrals, but when people are leaving, I do a lot of military. So when they're going somewhere else, I'm already handing them over to someone else. It's a referral. I call that future money in the bank. So even though I work primarily sellers because my market's here, it's like I too have forgotten that they are buyers, and that's income, and this is a business. So sometimes we need to put our mindset in the fact that there's more than just one deal in front of you, and referrals are the key. So just work with what you got and use the business you already have.
I love that. And there's, Vance just said, feel free to friend request them. Part of what I think you really want to take advantage of is just connecting with people within the group, sending them messages, asking them for specifically what they're doing, how they're doing it. Just message each other, see what you can pull from each other, to give each other as much of your resources as possible so everybody can win. So if you like something that someone's doing, just reach out to them, message them. Like Vance, he'd probably just share with you that entire sequence if you wanted it, right? Exactly what he's doing, to give you some tips. And that's the cool thing about that group. So just get in there and start little breakout groups too, little breakout messenger within that group, and you'll get some great feedback.
Can I give you a quick screen share?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go find me here. Boom. So the HomeBot thing, like what George was saying, here's my HomeBot stuff right here. And as you can see on the one side, I've also got my tracking going, because I do, like I say, if you're paying for something, use it. So I'm always tracking everything to track my opens with the BombBomb. But just the fact that I turn around in here and I've got all the HomeBot requests, they're starting to just load up. And one of the things, you need to know your product. So anything I do, I make myself a client. I'm a buyer, I'm a seller. When things go out, I see what it is. But this is where you say that, in the follow-up, I just had that one come in while we're sitting in the group. I just wanted to show you the times. So when you sit there and say, does it work? Yeah, this guy here sent something earlier wanting to have a request as well. So when I get off the thing today, I'll be doing a CMA. But I just wanted to show you that, yeah, this stuff works, and it'll only work if you use it. So HomeBot, I have not, the only thing cheaper than HomeBot for me is Lion Desk. And they work together for what I want to do. So if you guys are sitting there not using the HomeBot, take advantage of it. Make sure you put that link in your automation from Julie as well, because the results show up.
Oh, I muted myself. Great advice. Appreciate that, Leon. All right, guys, we're 5 minutes past. So if there's anything that we missed, let us know. Again, post anything in the insider group that you want us to discuss. Thanks, Mary, for your feedback there. We're going to take that to the team and see what we can do to make it better. That's what we always trying to do, is make your lives easier and make this process better for you. So anything that you want, just continue to put it into the group, and we'll take it and prioritize it. And of course, we'll talk about it next week.
Tracy, real quick to your comment about the values aren't good, that's fine. One of the things that we did originally that StreetText was doing was we had a thing going out saying that this is what the internet's best guess of your house is. I love a negative to make a positive, because now what you can do is sit there and I twist that around, saying that that's sending them something showing what the internet thinks their house is worth, that you'd like to get the information to show them what their house is really worth. That's how you get engagement. So even if the numbers are bad, they're good, because it gives you one more thing to talk about with them, and you'll get a result out of it, because at that point, they'll want to make sure they're telling you everything about their house to get the right value. So
Okay.
give that a try.
Awesome. StreetText is fabulous. We love it. Thank you for all your help, guys.
Hey, and remember, if you're not getting a good results on that seller side, try the equity side, right? And if you're not getting good results on that one, remember, it's a 3-test split test always. And I had a gentleman right now that I'm doing 6 ads overnight with, same type of style, and I'm using little emojis like in the San Diego area. Sorry, I can't speak right now. A little key, little home, and a little surf person, or a little key, little home, and a little money bag is another one that you can try. So use the emojipedia.org or the little emojis. So emojipedia.org. And then the other one is the home value on the very bottom. The funnel template says, enter your address, get your home value. That's working really well as well. So that's a third option that I'm seeing getting great results. Okay. Next week, we'll really focus on the buyer side and using the lead ads, which pull all the information up front. And that's where you're getting the $4, $5 phone numbers on average. So if you want that lead, you want that phone number, that's going to be your best bet. And remember, just like Leon alluded to, a lot of those buyers have to sell first because we're so early to the top of funnel. So that's the beauty behind those if you ask the right questions, but you got to get that appointment, you got to get that discussion. Cool?
Awesome.
Great day, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Take care.